Are you ready for cocktails and conversation? This is Herspiration Happy Hour.
Hello, this is Cortina Peters, aka the girlfriend therapist, and our other co-host is not with us today, Dr. G. She is on her way to the motherland. She is on a flight to Africa. I thought we were going to get lucky and have her pop in with us, but guess what?
No, not tonight. But since she did not, we have to represent. Well, this is Louisa Harrell, aka the Blue Phoenix, and guess what we are sipping on tonight?
What are we drinking tonight?
We're drinking a limoncello spritz. We're thinking too, guys. I promise. A limoncello spritz. So you need 2 ounces of limoncello, 3 ounces prosecco, 1 ounce soda water, sliced lemons, and either basil or rosemary.
Okay.
You can fill a large wine glass 2/3 of the way with ice. You add the sliced lemon and basil to the ice, and on top of that, you put a limoncello, the prosecco, and the soda water. Stir that gently, and then you garnish it with more lemon and either rosemary or basil.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, all right then. Well, so what's been going on with you? This week? Anything good?
This week has been the tester. I have a high schooler, I have a middle schooler, and 2 elementary school students, and also a 20-year-old. Well, about to be 20. So it seems like everybody's been a little emotional this week for some reason, and everybody's been needing to take those emotions out on everybody else.
Okay.
So it's just been one of those weeks.
A little bit of extra Mercury retrograde happening.
It's a little extra. It's a little more than extra up in our house. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Other than that, it's good. Everybody's, we've been talking and trying to get it together.
Okay.
But it's good outside of that. How about your week?
Well, busy as ever. Busy. A lot of stuff moving. I'll be happy when next week is over. I defend for my dissertation next Thursday, so
wow!
Be excited. Yes, I will be excited when that is done. So the weeks and the days are all starting to jam together for me. So yeah, once that is done, I'll be able to breathe for maybe like 2 weeks, and then
I'm about to say breathe for a second.
For a second, yes, breathe for a second. So we'll move right on into our WCWs. I know I have mine, but would you like to share yours, or would you like for me to go first?
I can go because I'm a little excited about my WCW because it's Viola Davis.
All right.
You all know that the Woman King is coming out. I think it'll be out. Friday, the 16th.
Okay.
Yeah, it'll be out Friday, and not only does Viola Davis, not only does she star in it, she was one of the producers.
Really?
So shout out to Viola Davis for The Woman King, which comes out Friday.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, it's so funny because last week we all kind of had the same, I want to say we did political figures last week.
Yeah.
Okay. And then this week I have also a Hollywood starlet. So I wanted to, yes, I do. I wanted to have Halle Bailey as my WCW. And the reason for that is because we all know the trailer for The Little Mermaid dropped.
Yeah.
This past week, and some of the comments that I've been seeing have been very disheartening. And so I wanted to make her my WCW because I wanted her to just, send love and light her way. I know she has a lot of support from her fans. I know she has a lot of support from the industry. However, there are not a little bit, but a lot of people that are not happy that The Little Mermaid was cast by a Black actress.
Yeah.
Which is funny to me because mermaids don't even exist. It's like having a darker, bluer avatar or something like that. It's make believe, and the fact that they can't necessarily get around or get out of their own way to be able to just enjoy a classic. Was very sad to see, and it really just shows you where we are, and it reminds me of even the Throne of the Dragon. I don't know. Anyway,
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones, but I call it House of Dragons, but they say that's not what
it's called.
Okay. The House of the Dragon, I think, is what the actual name is. So I needed to make sure I got it right. But they did not even like to see the Targaryen, the black man who has the white hair, and that's what they're known for, their white hair.
Oh, yeah.
They were upset about that too. So just seeing where we are, even still today, where race is such a huge, or can be such a huge divide, is disheartening. But it's the reality. And, you know, being able to navigate that and being able to still encourage everybody to just enjoy your life, right? Because life is already hard enough. So why make it harder by leaning into racism?
Yeah.
What's the point?
There is no point in it. And it's racism is not even, race is not even real if you think about it.
It's a social
it was
construct.
created. Yeah, it's a social construct. So the fact that we still have so many issues and so many hurdles to cross and so many problems in 2020 over because of the color of our skin is ridiculous to me. And then the children that are born are either, well, you know, they're innocent, so they don't know. But then with the subconscious and subliminal messages and things, like there was a video of a little girl who was Caucasian, and the Little Mermaid video came up, and she was like really confused. And I don't know if her mother told her to say it, but she said something about, is that supposed to be Whitney Houston? And I'm like, what?
Oh, wow.
What? Okay, yeah. But, you know, and her mom giggles at it, but it was other videos of young Black kids excited.
I saw them.
Yeah, and I'm like, you know, representation matters, and it's a shame that to this day we have to push for the first anything.
Yeah.
About, you know, it's just really frustrating.
It is, you know, and so it asks the question, like, how do we move on from this? And I know that's not an answer that we would be able to fix tonight, right? But even starting a conversation, and for our listeners and our viewers, when we have these type of conversations about important issues such as race and race-related matters, and how do we navigate that, and how do we get to a place where we all can come together collectively and move forward? Because it's very challenging and difficult when you still have people denying its existence. Because if I deny it, that means I don't think it even.
Exactly.
So if I don't see that there's an issue, I'm not going to be doing anything to help fix it, or to help solve it, or to do anything in relation to navigating race relations. Because I don't think that there's an issue, because some people, they don't see color, or some other individuals, we're all equal, and you know, it's not a problem. But clearly, I mean, we still have some challenges. Just because you've never experienced it, it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. And so that's what we have to look at. But wait. Okay, wait, hold on. Let me see how I fix this. Hold on now, how I do this? Oh, she's on the plane. She made it.
Oh my God. I am here on the plane. I just want to say hi.
She's buffering.
I'm buffering. Oh my God. What the hell?
What, we see you? We hear you. Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, I just want to say hi. I am headed to, I'm literally on the plane. I'm headed to South Africa. But you know, I've never missed an episode, so I wanted to at least stop by and say hi.
At least show your glowing face. Look how pretty you look.
And it's terrible because I pressed my hair out because so many reasons. I'm like, I don't want to carry a whole lot of product to South Africa with me, so I pressed my hair out so it's wrapped, and I learned how to wrap my first little bun. But I just want to say I love you all. I'm excited that you all are still. So I'm just saying.
Don't you cry on that plane, Pam. Don't you cry on that plane.
I know I'm not. But what I will say is that you two ladies are my WCWs, because without you, this podcast would be nothing. And I've been very present every single episode.
Yeah.
And this is my first time missing it, and it's killing me. But here's the thing. I don't think people realize that when you have two dynamic women behind you, that it's okay to do your own thing.
Yeah.
So I'm so ecstatic for this podcast in and of itself, that standing beyond me.
That's why you have a team.
I know, and I look a whole hot mess. I look a hot mess.
No, you don't. You look very pretty.
Child, I don't know, because I'm not wearing glasses right now, and I'm looking at a screen that I can't hardly see. I have coffee, champagne in hand. It's gonna help me sleep on this 14-hour flight. I won't get to South Africa until 4 a.m.
Okay.
It's a lot.
But it's going to be amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing, and it's grateful. God calls you to different things that you're not quite prepared for, but you get ready for it. And if you don't have to, if you stay ready, you don't have to get ready.
That's true.
And I think that me following my faith, I've never had to get ready for anything that I'm not prepared for. So you ladies are my WCWs for this week, because literally in 2 years, the things that you've made this podcast become with me has been nothing short of miraculous. Over 5,000 downloads, just yeah. So I love you ladies. I'm going to quickly log out. Look, I hear bells sounding.
Yes.
Love you too. Look, did she clunk out?
Yes. Well, that is. There she's back.
Well, because I didn't hit my phone. Yeah, I'm like, what in the world? This is what happens when like real life meets podcasts.
Yes,
but you know, I love you ladies. I appreciate every single thing that you do. All the visitors, all of the supporters, everybody that has ever been a part of this. Just know that it doesn't go unnoticed, no matter how fast me or any one of us are moving. We super duper love that you all continually support us.
Absolutely.
But I'm going to go, because it's a bunch of stuff going on, and people are moving past me on this plane. But next week I will be back. I will still be in Africa, but I will be present, but not on the airplane.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, safe travels, and we love you, and we know that
absolutely.
you're going to do amazing in your TED Talk experience, South Africa, and so congratulations. And
I'm so excited.
Return.
I know. So stay in tune, because I'm going to be posting. But hold up. It's next time. Oh, no, it's not next week. Week after next, I'm going to just say that we are going to be celebrating Cortina on her dissertation defense. So I have to put that out there as the host and someone who is connected to some dynamic bomb-ass women. We're going to celebrate her not next week, but week after next. So I love y'all. Thank you so much for showing up and being present. I will let y'all know when I land safely.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. She cracks me up so much.
Yes, so that's what teamwork does. Like we announced in the beginning, the actual creator of this platform, she is traveling to South Africa for an amazing experience. She's a phenomenal woman, friend, educator. She's all about literacy and is absolutely amazing. The imprint she's making, not only nationally, but internationally, which is phenomenal.
Yeah.
So with that, we have our special guest. She is in the building and she has arrived. But before we actually bring her on, talking about marketing yourself and branding yourself and being very intentional about the messages that you brand yourself as, I think that's extremely important, especially talking about Dr. G going over to continue to expand her brand. It's already, she has her book in 3 different languages in lots of different countries and continuing to expand that brand. I think it's only appropriate that today we have Amanda Rabideau. And if I pronounce your name incorrectly, charge it to my head, not my heart.
Not your heart.
I apologize. Yes, but she is the founder and CEO of Art Collective. She has over 15 years experience. She's worked with large corporations to create a successful marketing strategy plan and corporation. And when I went to the website, I like the collective aspect of it. Because it seems like it's just different people who enjoy doing different things to help promote someone's brand who decides to work with them. And so, many heads are better than one. And so having a lot of different creative people come together for one common goal, I think that's amazing. And so without further ado, we're going to bring up Miss Amanda so she can share all about her own story and why she created Art Collective, and tell us a little bit more about the services and the importance of having a strategic marketing branding strategy and what that means and what that does not mean, and how branding companies can really help take your product or your company to the next level. So welcome, Amanda.
Thank you so much for having me.
Welcome.
And I brought a mocktail. I have my LaCroix, so that's my drink of choice.
Oh.
And that's perfect.
We're on the same page. So cheers.
I have a Gatorade.
Oh, perfect. Yeah.
That works too.
Get those electrolytes, right?
Yes. So I know we have your bio, but I always like to give the guests the ability to highlight, because no one can share or talk about the business or the product like the creator. And so what would you like for our viewers and listeners to know about your company?
Sure. Well, I'll start with the how and the why I even started Arch Collective. I know I always find the founding stories interesting when I'm meeting with startup founders, which is a perfect segue because I work with B2B tech companies, B2B tech startup companies. And I had been working at a large corporation, leading major initiatives, and just found myself feeling like I wasn't making an impact. Things were moving slowly. And so I started to look for other opportunities. And at one point was interviewing with 4 different post-Series A funded B2B or business to business tech startup companies in the Bay Area. And as I was putting together my marketing plan, I'm like, they all need the same plan. Like they all are dealing with the same problems. And so I joking, said to my husband, I'm like, why don't I just go work for all 4 of them? And then I'd have a great paycheck and I'd be able to knock out their problems so efficiently, because basically I just need to do the same things. Right. And then once I said it out loud, couldn't let go of it. And so lo and behold, I started Arch Collective November of 2019. And, you mentioned the collective, and I'm so glad you brought that up, because even when I started it, I knew that I wanted this business to be about more than just me. I wanted to be bigger than me. And at the time I was, getting these ideas, I had recently had my second child, And I was actively involved in Golden Gate Mothers Group, which is one of, if not the largest mothers group in the country, and is very big in San Francisco specifically. And in participating in that organization, I met all of these women, and so many of them had amazing backgrounds. They went to Stanford or Berkeley, and they'd worked at these great companies and made this amazing impact. And they either wanted to step away for a little bit or couldn't, after stepping away, get back into a full-time role because it was so competitive. And I thought, I've got access to all these amazing women who were freelance marketers. There are other freelance jobs too, but I thought, I want to find a way to help these women, these mothers, basically, kind of connect back into this world. Right. And I never could have predicted that the pandemic happened and that freelancing and fractional executives and all of these things would have blown up in a good way, in the way that it has. So ultimately now, still working with B2B tech companies, my collective is expanded. I've got over 30 people that are involved in it, not all just women and not all just mothers, but, to do exactly what you did a great job describing, which is, when I'm working with these startups, bringing in people who have the exact niche skill set or the specific talent that they need in order to bring the marketing plan that I built for them and bring it to life.
Right. And the reason why collective stood out to me, I own a group practice, and I call us the Clinician Collective, because we are healers and therapists and yogis and all different types of things to create this collective healing space, whether it's physical or emotional, spiritual, mental. And so I love that word, and it encompasses kind of like what people need, right? You kind of don't know what you need until you realize you never had it. And it's like, oh, I did need that marketing. I didn't realize how much I was missing until, oh my goodness. So you mentioned something about tech startups.
Yep.
Does your company also do consulting in relation to writing proposals for potential funders for tech companies? And do you only focus on tech, or do you focus on any other type of marketing and strategy?
So the short answer is yes. But the way I would describe it is, in the world of venture capital and private equity funding, typically businesses need what's called a pitch deck. And so we have definitely built pitch decks. In fact, I'm in the middle of building one for a client now. So we certainly help them with beginning to do that fundraising when they're early stage seed company. And as the companies progress and they grow and they get additional rounds of funding, while of course the pitch deck and explaining what the business is doing is important, I also, as their fractional CMO, put systems in place and make sure we're hitting certain milestones so that as VCs or venture capitalists are looking into these businesses, they see them, if I work with a PR firm so they can see them in magazines. I work with their social media and their digital presence and their website to make sure that they're seeing this consistent story, that they understand the value prop. So the idea of fundraising moves less from the pitch deck and more into like the real world presence of the company as they get more mature and as they move into different rounds of funding.
Okay. Now, when it comes also to, let's just say there's a listener or a viewer who is interested, right? Let's say I'm at a place where I feel like we can't do the mom and pop thing. We got to hire a company to kind of help us move forward. Have you ever had a situation where you decided not to take on a client? And do you kind of like vet and say, this is not what our brand really wants to represent? Or what's that process like?
I do. And I love that you even asked that question, because as anyone who starts a business, and I'm curious if you have a process for vetting potential patients or because and I have a coach that I work with, and one of the things that we've talked about, because I have had clients that haven't worked out or haven't been ideal, and it's like the amount of energy, both like mentally, physically, emotionally, that bad client can take is never worth the money. I call it, like blood money or danger money, right? Like it's never worth it, no matter what it is. And so 100%, I have a process for vetting clients. It's multiple steps, like there's meetings. And even if someone on the first meeting's like, I want to sign up, I want to work with you. Unless I know this person previously or have worked with them, I still will make them go through my process because, we've all interviewed people and someone can do a great job in one interview, but you start to see other things in the second interview and the third interview and how they respond on emails. And so there's all of these different touch points that I like to have because you can never be 100% sure. But if you, put together certain steps and you do have a vetting process, it helps eliminate some of those that you're like, okay, I could have avoided this because in my view, it takes two to tango. So like in any client relationship, I'm never just blaming them, like maybe it wasn't a good fit for me and I shouldn't have brought them on, or whatever the case may be. But like the more ownership and responsibility I take for saying yes to that client, then I'd like to think the better chance we have that it will work out and be a productive engagement.
Do you also give them like little nudges as it relates to not necessarily telling them how to manage their company, but if you're seeing where there's some personality defects that could be potential barriers to them being able to get funding from venture capitalists or wherever they're getting their crowdfunding or wherever they're getting their seed money from, will you have that conversation with them and say, hey, you have someone on your team that might be holding you back? And because I don't necessarily know like how far you go. Are you 100% like all in with them and all inside, or are there different levels and tiers that companies can hire you and say, we want you to do only this, or we want you to do all of this?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah. And the short answer is there are some companies where it's more project based and others where I've had people and clients and even their employees say, oh my gosh, I forget that you're not a full-time worker. Like I'm so used to you being here. You're in meetings and all of that. So there's a bit of a spectrum there, but I would say, and whether people like it or not, but I'm like, feedback and honesty is a gift. So I think you're lucky if I'm telling you that there's a problem, then like you're welcome. Right now, obviously how you present that and how you phrase it and how you share it and how you time it is super important. But I do think that part of my role, is to bring to the leadership's attention, hey, like this may not be working, or I'm noticing this going on. Now, whenever I'm doing that, I be sure to like lead with facts, not my emotions or not my opinions. But I'll give you a small example. This pitch deck that I referenced earlier. Yes. One of the two co-founders is not as comfortable presenting in meetings. And so he's got some anomalies and some like, what do you call them? Like, bad habits, quirks. Yeah. And so I brought in and I introduced, there's a coach that I know who actually coaches founders on their presentation skills for pitching to venture capitalists, because you can only imagine how nerve-wracking it is. And if I can be horribly stereotypical here, you've got some like introverted engineer founder who maybe isn't comfortable presenting in front of people. Like, let's help draw him or her out of their shell so they can give a powerful presentation. Right. And so, I had to, I brought that up to the other co-founder. I brought in this coach. And to me, presenting or identifying a problem and presenting a solution and then leaving it up to them ultimately to decide how to move forward. To me, that's, regardless if that's part of my job description, I feel like where I can see an opportunity to help, why wouldn't I help them if I want to see their business succeed?
Right. It's so funny that you mentioned that. My fiance is an engineer. He's a software engineer too.
My husband's an engineer too, so I feel kind of comfortable saying that.
He's always creating something, and he's also a real estate agent as well. And so it's like, you are just so outgoing. Like, why don't you get into this? And I was like, I don't want to do all that other stuff. I'll talk to people all day, but I don't want to do the other stuff. So when you said this introvert, that is so stereotypical him. Like,
my husband's an introverted engineer too. So I'm like, I live with one who's right downstairs. So.
Yes, and I have one that's upstairs.
Yeah, there you go.
So when because you are the founder of Arch, I'm sorry. Excuse me.
Bless you.
Arch Collective. Okay. How do you keep the individuals who are part of the collective engaged and sparked and on fire? Because I know you mentioned that some of these individuals are trying to get back in the field. They have specialties in other areas. So as the overseer, do you have for yourself different type of what do you call them, employee projects that they do together, or potlucks, I don't know, team building to help keep everybody inspired or on fire or going? Or how do you view that, and what does that look like for your company?
So because I work with freelancers, I do not do the typical team building, like getting everyone together, things like that. Now, I think that they certainly have their place. And so I don't have a problem with them. I don't think it makes sense for the nature of my business. But, you know, there's a lot of projects out there. Freelancers are in demand, and especially the really, really great ones. I want them to want to continue to work with me and on my projects and with my clients. And so I am very conscious about how I treat them and how I engage them. And I'll give you a couple examples of at least the way I look at it and what I do with them. One is, you know, paying them on time. So I try and pay them as quickly as possible because, you know, I kind of think like the instant reward. I don't know if you ever babysat when you were growing up, but, you know, you babysit for 3 hours and you walk out with cash in hand, and that feels good. And it's like, okay, I'll go back and do that again. And so, you know, so often freelancers are the last person to get paid. And I think that that's diminishing to who they are as a human, to the work that they did. And so I like to reward people and try and pay them as quickly as possible. Another thing is to give them, going back to feedback, to give them honest feedback. I work with really, really great freelancers. And when they do an awesome job, I tell them. And it seems so simple and obvious, but like, you know, I know is, you know, because I'm a freelancer, but like I can go days without hearing anything good from anyone, right? And I didn't go into this for accolades, but who doesn't like to hear something nice every once in a while? And then the final piece, and I'm sure there's other things, but the main things are, I like to introduce them to clients. So it's very obvious from my website. I talk about my collective, so people know it's not just Amanda who's doing all the work. So when it's appropriate or the time is right, I love to bring a freelancer in and let them meet the client, because typically, like 9 times out of 10, my clients are happy. And as great as it is for me to say, hey, so-and-so, you did a great job, when they hear it directly from the client and they get a chance to take credit for the work that they did, I also think that's super empowering. And so I'm fortunate that many of the people I work with continue to want to work with me, I've worked with a lot of them for years now, or at least, you know, 2 years or so. And, you know, I think it's because I treat them like people and I have empathy for them too.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the biggest things that have people want to continue, because life is tough, right? Life is, you have unfortunate events that happen all the time. Just waking up every day for some people is really hard. And like you said, I'm a clinician, I'm a therapist. Yes. And so seeing people who thrive or feel even better by someone saying good morning or how are you, and hearing those nice words like, oh my God, she sees me. She sees that I did something good. The client sees me. That just motivates me to want to even continue to do the work that I'm doing. So I think that's great that that's something that you provide for them when it's necessary, when it's needed. Now, how do you? Oh, go ahead.
That's important. Oh, okay. No, but that's important because it shows the time you put in with the clients. And you mentioned earlier that one of your clients was like, oh, wow, I forgot you weren't a regular employee because you're here so much. That goes to show the time. So how much, is there a certain amount of time that you allot, or it just depends on your client? How does that work?
Well, it's both. You know, one, when I'm setting up an engagement with the client, and this goes back to this process that I usually have a pretty good idea of what amount of time I need to dedicate to a client over a month. That's the way I think of it, in order for me to accomplish the goals that I've set out to accomplish for that particular client. And it could be a few hours a month. It could be a lot more. In fact, I had one client where by the time I was done, I'm like, this is basically a full-time job, which was kind of crazy because I had a couple other clients, but I've been working with them for almost 2 years. And so like we were just getting ready to pass it over to, I brought in a full-time CMO to take over from me. And so in this transition, there were all these things we were working on. So, ended up taking quite a bit of time, but each engagement, and I also think this is important. There's a lot of people out there that they have like a one size fits all approach.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe this goes back to how I think of my freelancers as individuals, and each person needs something different. Well, each company does too. So yes, of course, I have a playbook, I have an idea of what is going to need to happen, but I try to treat each client as just that, because they're going to have their own unique circumstances and slightly different needs from one company, one client to another.
Now, how do you manage and balance all of these individuals and freelancers and contractors who are working for you?
It's a breeze. No problem at all.
And your life and your children and your husband and social life. What do you do for you? What does that look like? So what about that side of Amanda?
I don't even know where I heard this, but I heard this phrase or story or something somewhere along the way, and it's become my mantra. And it was something along the lines of, especially as a working parent, like you're never going to be able to do it all, but what's important is to identify what's a glass ball and a rubber ball. Yeah. And that like, if you drop the rubber balls, they'll bounce back, those aren't the big deals, but the glass balls, like missing, high school graduation or like missing their first basketball game or, whatever it could be. Mm-hmm. And so I really, like, to me, that really spoke to me. And it's like, I know I can't do it all. And I also think it's great to be, at least my perspective is, I love being a working mom. I love setting that example for my children. I have a daughter, I have a son. And for them to see like both of us working an equal partnership, I think that's such a phenomenal example to set. Not that we do it perfectly all the time, but, so for my personal life, I try and keep this, like, I guess, give myself grace. Like, I'm not going to do it all. And in fact, last week there was an ice cream social at my kid's school, and it's my daughter's first year in kindergarten. So it's our first year at this new school. I wanted to go, but I had this massive client deliverable. And I was just like, I think it's going to be okay if I don't make the ice cream social. My husband took the kids, they had a good time. And I'm like, I wasn't there, and like, it's going to be okay. But like when it was her first day of kindergarten, I had all these meetings. I like blocked my calendar. I made sure I walked with her, and I'm like, that's an important day. So, kind of having some grace with myself there. As far as managing the team, I got to be honest, I don't have a perfect system. I don't even know if I have a system, but I think, again, going back to the human side of all of it, where it's like, I take good care of my team and I think they take good care of me. So it's like, if I've, dropped a ball with them, they'll be like, hey, Amanda, we need this, or you missed that. The same way if I'm like, hey, I'm still waiting on that deliverable, it's not a big deal. So I think I've got a great team. We're all in it together. I feel like we work really hard for my clients. And so I wish I could be like, oh, this is what you should do or that. But like, I'm a student of how to manage all of this too. And like each year it's going to change, and each day it seems like it changes. So, I use my calendar a lot. I think, like if it's not in my calendar, it's not happening. And that's probably like the best organization advice I can give.
So you know what, and I really appreciate your honesty, because sometimes you have individuals that go on platforms, and because of the fear of judgment of others, they feel as though they have to have it all together. But your authenticity and saying, you know what, it might not be perfect. I'm, a student, and I'm learning as I go, and I have them and they have me. I think even when you were saying about your children and how you are modeling for them and showing them that I'm still working and we're showing up, and me and my husband, this is what we're doing, and it's a teamwork. I think that is really, really important, because it's not about how perfect we are, because we're showing our children that perfection is an illusion. There's nothing in life There's no such thing.
Right.
And so if
Absolutely.
I pretend that I'm perfect, I might be setting my children up for failure because they're going to be trying to match this perfect that does not exist. But giving yourself grace, you are indirectly showing them that it's okay for them not to be perfect and accept themselves as they are. So as a parent, as a working mom, as a entrepreneur and business owner, I think that is one of the most important messages that you can show anybody. And by you showing them, you're also reminding yourself, because you said it yourself, I guess I give myself grace.
Well, and like ultimately girls, women, we have been taught to be perfect, right? It's like you got to make sure your skin looks good and you're dressed right and you're fit and your body is whatever shape is the body shape of that day. And like, if you don't do it right, then you're unlovable, is sort of like the vibe of what society tells us. And then you've got men where it's like, take chances, be brave, and, very different. And so, it always sort of crushes me when my daughter gets upset when she doesn't get something right the first time, or it's like, it's not perfect. And it's like, it's okay. Like sometimes you've got to try more than once. And so like anything I can do to provide a different environment than like the world I grew up in, where everything had to be just so, and like, media messages were what they were, and they're certainly not perfect today, but it's like, it like, as far as being a female in today's society, it's like, you don't have to look a certain way. You don't have to be a certain size, and you can have as many jobs as you want, or as few jobs, if you follow one career path, and like, you're probably not going to get it right. And that's all good. And you're still lovable. Right. And
Absolutely.
so, yeah,
absolutely. Now, what has been the highlight of this journey for you?
I've always known to some extent that I wanted to start a business, and I never knew what I wanted to start. And so to me, to say, I am going to just go out and start this thing, like, and then go out and do it and then have it succeed, that is an amazing journey, because there was a ton of, and kind of going back to perfection, there was a whole lot of done is better than perfect. And I know a lot of people don't like that mentality, but I think it's great. Like I remember putting my first website up and I was like, I've never built a website, but here we go. And now what I have out there looks entirely different than what it did in November of 2019. But you know what? We all are beginners at something. And so I feel really proud of myself that I started a business, got it up and running, scared shitless the whole time I was doing it, right? But then like, I'm still here to tell the tale.
Yeah.
That's
okay.
great.
So with you saying that, what was your motivation to keep going outside of your children and your husband? How did you keep going and not just go in the corner and cry? Like what was your push?
Well, I wouldn't say that I never went in the corner and cried. So let's.
Oh no, I know you. I'm sure you did, but I mean, like to stay there.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, and so this was. I'm trying to like kind of go back in time now. I guess so I was expecting my son, and to back up, my daughter came 7 weeks early, and part of the reason I think she came so early is I was very, very stressed at work. And then when I was pregnant with my second, I was like, okay, I don't want him to come 2 months early, basically, and have to be in the NICU. And so, interestingly enough, I had just gotten a promotion at work, and my boss who had given me the promotion left a few weeks later, and her manager took the promotion away, told me I was never promoted, and basically had like one of the more, or maybe the most demoralizing career conversations with me that I had. Wow. And so to me, there was never an option to stay at that company. And I was expecting at the time. So I was like, I wasn't prepared to go out and look for a job. Although I did end up starting the search while I was still pregnant. And I think for me, it was, and this goes back, I was talking about having a daughter, is that if I'm going to leave my children every day to go work, it better be for something that really means a lot to me and that I am making an impact on the world. Mm-hmm. And so I'm like, if I'm in a role where I feel like things aren't really like, this was a big bureaucracy, right? So I felt like I could be gone for a month and like things would move an inch. And I'm like, I want to go somewhere where we make decisions, things are impactful. And so there was never really a choice for me to go back. And so once I made the decision, I was like, here we go. And I made it happen. And so, yes, there was definitely tough times. And especially when I was trying to get my first client, I mean, like, I've got some crazy stories about that, but I did it and I just kept on going. And I have an amazing husband who's super supportive. He's my biggest cheerleader. And I have an executive coach, and she does a ton for me too. So I feel like I've got a good, board of directors. I don't have a formal board of directors for my business, but between these two people, I feel like I can take on the world. And then looking at my kids, I'm like, I want to take on the world and set that example.
So when you have, out of those 4 interviews that you had, were any of those companies your first client?
No. Although, interestingly enough, one of them became a client last year. So I did.
Wow, that's good.
I did end up working with one of them, not the other ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what's next for Arch Collective? What's on the horizon? Do you have it? Now, you don't have to give us all the plans because you got to keep some stuff secretive. But for what you can tell us, what's next for Arch Collective?
Well, hopefully a lot. So earlier this year, I launched my first course, and I actually and I haven't done like a formal launch, but put together another offering, which is a marketing audit. Obviously the economy and where it is today isn't where it was in the last year. And especially with startups not getting as much funding, with them in mind, I thought, wouldn't it be great to have someone take a look at your marketing plan and your strategy and see, is this going to get you to where you're going? And or like, what should we be doing now that things have changed to better, help us hit our targets that we have either for this year or beyond? And so I'm constantly, listening to my clients, paying attention to what's going on out there. And so where there's an opportunity to help support them in a new way, I jump in and I try and create that offering for them. And then there's, other things that I have in my mind, but maybe we do that as a follow-up.
Yes. And how do you, if I am someone who's listening and I have a startup and I'm like, you know what, how will I know when it's time for me to contact an organization such as yours for assistance and help? How does a business owner know?
So I work with companies that don't have any clients all the way till about Series A funding. And then at Series A, I take them on. And then around Series B is when I bring in a full-time marketer. Okay. That's usually when they need someone full-time, not a fractional CMO. And so I would say, really at any time, if you're looking to grow your business, to like figure out how to set up your marketing, to build your brand, to build your messaging, some of those foundational pieces that don't seem so hard, but then when you sit down to do them, they're like, oh, wow, I've never done this. This is super complicated. Reach out. There's lots of ways that we can help and work with entrepreneurs.
Okay. So how can our listeners and viewers contact you? How do we get in contact with you? How do we hire you? Well, not hire. How do we inquire about services? Because you might not want to work with them. How do they contact you?
Well, pick your favorite channel, right? So I've got a website. You can fill out a form. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter. I'm on LinkedIn. So if you prefer social media and reaching out to me that way, either of those ways will work for me. Those are the best ways to get to me. Okay,
and I'm gonna try to
under the Arch Collective or under what?
It's Arch-Collect, or sorry, for which one?
For all of them. Okay, so I see.
Oh yeah, that's the website, and yeah, there's a button at the top that says "Get in Touch," I think, or something along those lines. And so there's a quick form to fill out, and then I quickly follow up, and we can set up time to chat.
All right. Well, it was such a pleasure learning about this service and your company and your passion and your drive. And
Well, thank you so much for having me. I enjoyed the conversation.
Of course. So yes, when you go to that next phase of your company, you'll have to come back and share it with us. We would love to have you and hear more about what Arch Collective is doing and how they're continuing to make an impact in the lives of so many businesses and startups.
Well, and I want to say, it sounded like from the woman who was on right before me that you have a dissertation that you're defending.
I do.
So best of luck to you. I hope it all goes very well. I'm sure.
Thank you. It is. I created 2 products. I created a survey for therapists to give to their patients. I'm a sex therapist, by the way. Okay. To their patients, so that we can identify the disconnects and the incompatibilities. And I also created for individuals who may not want to go to therapy, I also created a card game called Sex Unveiled, the card game that friends, partners, lovers, anybody could play with one another. And it causes them to create the conversation around things that they're into and not into. So my product launches November 1st. I'm excited. All of the research that I've done around it and creating conversation and continuing the conversation around things that may make us feel shameful. So I'm super excited. So
that sounds amazing. And so, well, good luck with the formality of the defending.
Thank you. Thank you.
And good luck with the sales of the card game. That sounds super, super interesting. So
yes, I already got sales already. So I'm excited about that. So we will definitely be in touch. And we just thank you for your time and spending some time with us this evening.
Thank you for your time as well. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Have a good night.
That was such a great conversation.
It was. It really was. And let's hold on before you even try to go past what you just said on this show here, young lady. You need to repeat that and give them the information where they can purchase this game, because I'm gonna have to get me one because it's you and I gotta support you. But this is so exciting. Oh my gosh, you were just going to slide on past. No, ma'am, you were not going to slide past that. But give the people the info, ma'am.
Well, if you go to Sex Unveiled, and that's SEXD Unveiled on Instagram, there's a link in the bio where you can pre-order your cards. There's a promotional price going on. Dr. G, she has already taken part in the pre-sales, and I appreciate her so much with some other individuals. And I'm just super excited. And so you can find me at Cortina Peters. I'm lying. You cannot. You can find me you can find me at the Girlfriend Therapist. That's where you can find me. You can find me at the Girlfriend Therapist. You can find me at the Girlfriend Therapist on all social media platforms. And that's where you can find me.
That is so exciting. Oh my gosh. I need to start being more on the social media because I'm hardly on IG and I get a lot of stuff from you guys. And the only time I'm on is when I'm posting about us or my other shows. So I didn't even see it. But oh my gosh, I'm so excited for you.
Thank you. And definitely I will have to come after I defend and explain it to our listeners and to our viewers so that they can know what's happening and we can possibly have a conversation about the importance of communicating your wants, needs, and desires with your partners.
Absolutely. And you already know, I'm going to tell you right now, when it comes out, I will be playing it with my other co-hosts and other peoples, and we most likely will film it. So you got to get it out there. I'm so excited for you.
Yes, absolutely. I'm so excited. So yes, Miss Louisa, tell us where we can find you.
Well, you can find me depending on where you're looking. No, I'm joking. You can find me at the Blue Phoenix Hills on every platform that the Blue Phoenix Hills is on. Also on on every other Wednesday night after this wonderful Herspiration Happy Hour, I'm on another show with GI Mo on both sides of the coin. And on Thursdays at 8:30, I'm on another show called The No Filter Show.
All right. Well, you can also go ahead and hit the tip jar if you want to give us, sponsor or support. We are always looking for individuals to, if you want to buy us a cup of coffee, you want to hit the tip jar. We appreciate everyone who always finds it not robbery to go ahead and give us a little tip in our tip jar.
Thank you so much.
Yes,
we really appreciate you.
We absolutely love when you leave us tips. If you want to be a part or you want to be a guest on our show, you can go to Herspiration Happy Hour at gmail.com and send us a message. You can also go to our website and you can fill out the form to be a guest, and we will get with you and see if it lines and matches with our schedule. We love all of our guests that we have. We talk about so many different topics on this show. So it's not like you can pigeonhole Herspiration Happy Hour into one kind of category, because we kind of talk about it all. We have some inspirational, we have some funny,
well-rounded podcast.
Absolutely. We are a well-rounded podcast, and we just love our listeners and our viewers who tune in with us. And with that, what do we normally say, Louisa, when we're heading out?
Cheers.
Cheers.